Well, first, I'd like to say that I think it was great to have a great crowd at our away game with Virginia Tech. I thought our team saw them and could notice them, and it was a great turnout. They were into the game. They definitely showed out, just like they did in the Miami game when they went down to that. So we appreciate all their support there. Yep, going on to our next game against Cal. It'll be a very tough opponent. They're well coached. They have a good young quarterback. They can throw the football. They play aggressive on defense. Once again, we'll have to, improve on our mistakes we made this past game here in the past, and try to find a way to play cleaner football if we can, and more efficient on both sides of the ball. But I do think that we played hard, played to the end. We found a way to win. Hope that we can make some improvements as we go forward, and find a way to win against a good California team.
Jeff, do you have updates on Isaac Brown and Duke Watson?
Isaac will be out for a while, so he will not be available this game. Duke, we're working to get him back. We're hopeful that he can play this week. We'll see how this week of practice goes.
Jeff, looking at Cal, the quarterback, what is it about him that has had kind of made him have some early success there, and maybe the weapons that he has around him?
Well, he's a good young quarterback. He could throw the football. He was highly recruited. I think he went to Oregon briefly, maybe during their bowl prep, didn't get some reps, and wanted more action, wanted to get on the field early, and he's very good. So this is a good quarterback who can throw the football. He can see the field. He's accurate, and that's what they rely on. Is his ability to be accurate, make good decisions, and the passing game has been very effective for him. So definitely has a bright future, and we'll have to play good defense.
Jeff, kind of a two-part question. Obviously, you guys have played well in the second half of games, at least the past 3 games, outscoring opponents. What's the FCC safe version of the halftime speech? And also, what do you feel like you guys do differently in the second half that is just more effective?
Well, I think the goal is always to start fast and come out and play a good first half. We have not been as sharp. I think every game's different. When you come in halftime, you kind of get a feel and pulse of the team. Sometimes you can get after them and get them going. There's other times you can kind of bring some life back into them by describing the situation and how we have to overcome it, and laying it out for them. And so I just think every week is different. I thought this past halftime, we had their heads down a little bit, and some people were disappointed and frustrated, and I wouldn't say ready to give in, but you just kind of have a little bit of anger that's built up. But I thought we needed to get the juices back going, that we can play football. It's only 30 minutes of a game, and we can come back and execute and play much better if we're into it, and if we want to do it. If we believe in ourselves and play with confidence, and go out there and play to win. And I just think that we did a much better job. And we're going to face good football teams in the conference, so I'd love to win every quarter or every play, but it's not going to happen. So you got to try to win more than they do, and you got to try to score more than they do, and you got to try to make less mistakes than they do. If you do that, you will have a chance to win. And I just think our guys got to just keep playing. We got to keep playing hard, and we got to keep believing in them, no matter what the score is.
How much confidence have you gotten in Keywan, and how much has confidence grown as the injuries have piled up? He's had some big runs late in games.
Well, it was great for Keywan to play well. We needed him to. He's practiced well. He's been injured a little bit and finally got back healthy. I think he understands his role. He's got to be ready when his number's called. He's got to be able to produce when we put him in. He's got to be able to block and be physical and run the football downhill. He's taking care of the football very well. He'll definitely have to carry more of the load now, and I think he can handle it.
Jeff, another Power 4 coach got fired over the weekend from Freeze. Every time one of these jobs opens up, your name is mentioned. Do you have the resources here where you don't feel like you should even listen to that, or do you feel like there's things that that they could give you here to kind of make it to keep you here?
Well, when it comes to our football team and whether we think we can compete against other teams, yes. I mean, I feel like, you know, we just got to keep pushing forward. We've got good resources here. We've got a good football team. You know, for me, it's concentrating on the season and worrying about the next game, and that's what we're doing. We've got a lot to play for. Every game matters. Every game counts. Every game, the stakes are higher and higher, and it's important that we come back at home and beat Cal.
Anybody else?
I know I mentioned this last week, and you just kind of speak about the punting again and what happened maybe in the breakdown early in that game.
What was it about?
With the block punt, and what happened with that, and how do you correct it? That's a couple weeks in a row that I know you've been disappointed with. How do you correct it with the guys that, you know, obviously you don't need?
Well, on the block punt, they were selling out the block punt. They walked up more than you can handle for the most part. You know, we did a couple things I didn't like on the punt that will get fixed and corrected that I think will eliminate that mistake. With that said, you know, there are times we catch and hold the ball too long, especially when we know there's a all-out block coming. So it's a combination of a lot of things. We've already talked about the corrections internally that I think we need to make, which we worked on yesterday. I think we have a better grasp for it. And, you know, for the most part, special teams has gained an advantage for us. And even with the punt return, that came back and helped us win the football game. But yes, we do not want to get punts blocked. That was disappointing. There was a guy coming clean off the edge, and it was a short edge. So we'll get that fixed.
Have you seen improvements when talking with Miller about his decision making when it comes to maybe throwing those interceptions, getting the strip sack, kind of along those lines, not preventing turnovers and things like that? Like, what's his mentality kind of around that?
Well, quarterback's not an easy position. You know, we can judge him on every single play he makes. He's in there 85 or so snaps a game. Yes, the interception we like to have back. He forced that down the middle. We had an in cut coming open behind that was the first progression, and he just needed to be a little more patient, allow that to come open. But he thought he had Colin going down the middle, which was covered very well. You know, came back and then scrambled one time and had the ability to run for a first down. He threw it deep, and then after that, we kind of had to settle him back in, and I think he did. You know, he plays hard. He's able to run the ball a couple times after, get us a couple first downs. You know, you're not going to make every decision perfectly right. I think that it's just important he keeps playing. I think you know, we need him to play his best, just like we need all the others to play their best. There were some times we might have had some guys open up the field. We didn't protect as well. You know, there were some times maybe we weren't as precise in our route running. I mean, there was a lot going on, I think, especially in the first half, that we needed to clean up and try to get fixed. And sometimes that always spotlights on the quarterback, but you know, he played hard, and I know he works really hard, and he's going to continue to work hard to get better. He knows we need him to play well to win, and he knows that we need our others, guys on the team to play well around him. It's a team effort, and you know, getting the ball to our playmakers is important. Not turning it over and just finding ways. You know, I think we could hopefully find some ways to create some bigger plays up the field as we progress forward. But if not, we just got to be efficient in what we're doing.
Jeff, after the game, TJ talked about how Ron told them, you know, you want November, you want to play for something in November, kind of as motivating for, you know, finishing this final stretch of the season. When you look at the, you know, Georgia Tech obviously lost, how much do you show the team those kind of things, knowing that, you know, this is definitely still within grasp and, you know, the ACC is still very open?
I think for us, internally, we talk about, you know, one game season a lot and the importance of the next game. And, you know, I think if you do that as much as we do, you don't have to talk about all the things going on around you as much. I think they're fully aware, and I've talked about the stakes getting higher and higher every week, so they're fully aware that the stakes are higher each and every week. And we talk about that because we want to stress the importance of however hard you worked last week, no matter whether things went great or not, you have to work even harder this week. Like, everything matters. And if you want to continue to work your way up the hill, you've got to win the next football game, and that requires a lot of hard work, a lot of preparation, a lot of concentration and focus, and you can't let your foot off the gas. And that can sometimes happen as you play a long season. You know, every once in a while you want to take a breath and relax a little bit, which is fine as long as it's very brief, because you got to get back to work. And that's myself, our coaches, our players. There's a lot to play for. Every game matters. There's a lot to play for. That's what makes it fun. And if you win, you're giving yourself a chance. And we just want to, try to continue to improve and play our best football that we can every time we step on the field. And we know it's not going to be perfect, but we've got to try to make it as great as we can at every game.
You were talking about Miller. How much do you want? I mean, obviously, how much do you want him to run when he has to? And how difficult is that? Maybe for a quarterback to know in their mind, okay, this time I got to take off, or this time I don't. How do you teach that with a guy?
Well, we work it as much as we can. I think a game action really is when you can see it, full speed, live, when everything matters. Every different situation arises. Maybe you're playing good at the time. Maybe you've had a rough stretch, but you've got to continue to move the chains and get first downs. If we can do it by air, great. If we can do it by handing the ball off, great. But every once in a while, when we call pass plays, it's not going to be open. They're going to cover it. The protection's going to break down. The receiver's going to get bumped off his route. It's going to run the wrong depth maybe occasionally. You've got to be able to step up and go through your progression. If it's not there, the clock's got to go off, and you've got to go get us some yards. And if that can be 2 yards, 5, 10, it doesn't matter, but you got to get us some yards. And I do think, in the course of a couple scrambles, if you're moving up, sometimes there's some room up there to run, and we've got to take advantage of that. 2 games ago, he scrambled inside the 10-yard line for a touchdown. In the latter part of the game, I think he made 1 or 2 runs that got us some key yards. One was a first down. Like I said, after the interception, there was one time I thought he could have scrambled and got us yards on a key 3rd down. But we just got to continue. He's got to continue to watch it on film. We've got to practice it as much as we can. He's got to picture it in his head over and over again, and that's one of the hardest parts about playing quarterback is, he is a thrower, but we're not going to ask him to run a whole lot, but the protection's going to break down. Something's going to happen. 2 to 5 times a game is what I tell him every game before the game. Hey, 2 to 5 times you're going to have to go run and get us yards. One game it could be 2, one game it could be 5, one could be more, maybe less, but it's going to happen. So it's got to be in your head that use your legs, let your feet and eyes do the talking as you're going through the progression. And a lot of times, if you can get yourself moving forward, you can naturally take off and get us some yards. So we're hopeful that any quarterback that we have can do a good job of being smart and getting as positive yards as we can.
As a former pro baseball player, were you watching the World Series live the other night? Or you see it on tape? I mean, to know that a former U of L player, kid from here, hit the game-winning home run in the World Series, pretty cool. And also, couldn't hurt recruiting, I guess.
Couldn't hurt what?
Recruiting.
No, it was great. Yes, I saw it live. A big baseball fan myself. I actually texted Brian Mundorf right after he hit the home run, because I was just asking about Will Smith the other day, about kind of tell me his path and what exactly, how did he become so good? And he just said he was a hard worker, and he just put in the time and continued to get better and better every year and stronger and developed even more. So that was good to hear. But yeah, it was I didn't see all the series, but man, it seemed like some great games. When I watched it, everything was intense, great crowds, about as back and forth as you can play. You look at those games, normally they're not dominating the game, it's just back and forth, who's going to hang in there. And there was just some great plays made late in the game. It was fun to watch. There was it was as tight as you could get for a World Series. It's probably one of the better ones I've seen in a long time. And like I said, not that I watched the entire game, but saw the end of it, and for Will to hit the home run to win the game, that was outstanding. And you can tell he's a humble, modest, hardworking young man, so very proud of him.
Jeff, you've already proven to have a very deep running back room without Isaac. Those guys have different
attributes, do you have to alter the game plan at all?
Well, Yes, we do go into each game different. I mean, we've been short at running back, in our opinion, multiple games this year. It affects, our thinking going into it. We're hopeful to be as healthy as we can with the ones available, but if not, we've got to have an alternate plan ready to go. Really, it's about who are our playmakers, how do we get the ball in their hands, how do we spread the ball around. You can't throw it every play, you can't run every play, but you got to have some balance. And we're hopeful to get Duke back if we can this week, which I think would really help. Not having Isaac, things happen like that all the time. You got to be able to overcome it.
Jeff, going back to Isaac real quick, is it safe to say that Isaac Brown could miss the remainder of the regular season, or have you not ruled that out yet?
I wouldn't go that far yet. We'll see how these next couple weeks go and see exactly where he's at. Thank you.